Design is trying to make a difference. It's taking something, thinking about it, and creatively coming up with a better approach, a better angle, a new way of doing something.
We're taking nothing and turning it into something. All we start with is a piece of paper that says, you know what, we need a new thing. And out the other end, after we're done with it as a development team, is a tangible object that didn't exist before.
We're here to try to allow people to get to the software in a better way.
A successful product, a successful design is simply one that delights the customer, and it makes them say, wow.
Concept definition's just a crazy face. I mean, this is where anyone can come up with an idea, and anyone can come up with a great idea.
This concept where this really represents some of the mouse movement.
We work amongst peers. I have to convince them that my idea is a good one. If I can't do that, chances are that they will not follow me in whatever direction I would like for them to go.
To make progress in this whole thing, we need to kind of agree on at least a direction of tone, where we're trying to get to, because you're inventing something that doesn't exist. Concept definition phase is where we're actually starting to identify the need.
So we try to look at what's going on in the market and what kind of needs the consumers seem to express for using their PC.
Some of the questions that get thrown out in the early part of the phase would be things like, who is our customer? Are they an advanced user or are they a novice user? Is it a corporate environment or in a home environment?
At that earliest sort of concept stage of product development, when we're still trying to figure out the features of the product and what is all going to be contained within it, we have ways of sort of doing some generative research that lets us sort of get inside the goals and desires of the end user.
Is it trying to increase performance? What's the objective?
In any project, the first thing I look for is inspiration to solve the problem or even to understand the problem. The biggest challenge is that we create a form factor that expresses the innovation of the product. I mean,
Zulu was a very difficult product to work with. The first thing is you're trying to go somewhere where there is no defined path. You really have to make something up. Zulu aims at games that are played with a mouse and keyboard essentially. So you have to find a way to replace mouse and keyboard usage. You have to change the pattern of usage of the gamers.
They're hunched over the mouse and keyboard, and that's not comfortable for them. And they want something that allows them to be comfortable while they're playing, because they're playing for hours on end.
First meetings we had, the engineers, the usability persons, the ergonomic specialists, the designers started brainstorming.
Enough. Like, I don't think tilt is probably the most precise way to drive a motorcycle. No. But people think it's really fun because their whole body is in the game and they're...
With 3D navigation, I mean, many people have tried and failed to come up with the ideal controller for this. What Zulu does is it gives you a right-hand perspective control that's almost like looking around, and then your left hand controls your movement. So you can do that in a game with a mouse and keyboard as well, but what Zulu does is it gives it to you in an ergonomic handheld package.
For a while we were inventing out of fear that maybe there is a good reason why this thing isn't out there yet. but at the same time, you use that to challenge yourself, to challenge the whole team.
The second part after concept definition is concept configuration, and this is where we take an idea and a lot of paper and try to actually make it physical, make it real.
You can show millions and millions of pictures and renderings of what you're trying to create, but if it's not in the hands of people, even to the designers themselves, it's still not a viable concept. This is a good time to start looking at the ball and socket concept.
Yep.
What ergonomics and usability is concerned about is making sure that the device concept gets developed in a way that is within neutral ranges of posture or ranges of easy motion of the user's hands.
One of the ways that the collaboration sort of manifests itself in a really intense way is when there's a disagreement about what's the best process for the user to go through a particular feature set or accomplish a task.
Eye position can look up and down with this.
I don't think that's as intuitive as this one.
Right,
as a model where you separate them more spatially from one hand to the other rather than spatially side to side versus spatially vertically.
It's important that everybody understands the vision, the intent, the important goals of the design. That way, they know what to ask for and they know what to fight for.
The thing that is most critical to keep in mind is really looking at the product from the perspective of what's going to make the biggest difference to the end user.
The concept refinement phase is where the product's soul starts to get developed.
We have no idea what these buttons are going to feel like when somebody actually puts this thing down and presses these buttons.
What we're talking about is actually having the product have integrity within itself.
Sedona is utilizing the new solid-state technology, and so what it does is it gets rid of the mouse tracking ball. And what's cool about it is it doesn't have any contact with the surface. It's reading. And it's actually a photo sensor that's taking 1,500 frames of pictures of the surface per second. So it has this red LED that shines light down on the tabletop. We wanted people to know that there was something different about it by just looking at the product on the table. So we brought the material actually up and around the back side of the mouse. So when it's just sitting there, it actually glows.
It's a real new shape. It's radically different, and what we have is a brand new technology.
Sedona really tries to bring the user one step closer to the software. It's trying to make it more seamless by bringing to it the regular left-right mouse buttons, a scroll wheel, which allows people to navigate up and down in a document, and back and forward control, which is tied directly to the internet.
We need to have a really good fit between the hardware piece that we deliver and the software piece that we deliver.
In traditional hardware companies, their biggest drawback for innovation is the fact that they don't have any software support. Product ideas stay as product ideas because there's so much software that's needed to support it. In our world, it's just the opposite. We have an entire company of software designers that are anxious to actually contribute to hardware. So our biggest challenge is trying to decide what not to do. The concept execution phase is where we take the soul of the product and actually bring that into the machine language. At the same time, we have to be really sure that the product actually meets the end user's need that we started the objective with.
The problem is that we're going from this flat surface that we've tested most recently, but the latest surface is going to be rounded for a tactile registration for the thumb on those buttons. So the person's looking at the screen, they're not focusing on what they're looking at on the product. We want to make sure they can tactily differentiate those buttons.
There is a moment where you have to say the end goal here is to get a product to market. So you have to meet the schedule, and you have to make sure that everything you sign up to do, you will deliver. You get a tremendous amount of satisfaction to say, we've spent all this time building this product, we've pulled our hair in trying to making sure that it would make sense, that we had the right feature set, and in the end we've delivered exactly what they wanted.
This has got so much more life, it's so much cooler, right? And you guys got to agree. Getting that magic is the most difficult thing in product design. Getting a product that actually can stand by itself, that has a soul, it has integrity, and has a spirit that's unique is really a difficult thing. It's our perspective that makes us unique. It is the fact that we cannot avoid thinking about software. And certainly with how complicated software is, we cannot avoid thinking about the end user.
With the latest products we put out, you can see that we're trying to incorporate more aspects of the software into the hardware. And all these are the types of things that allow people to easily get to the end result.
We're really about the whole PC experience. And therefore, we have the right frame of mind to look at the whole and ensure that in the end we're delivering a complete experience rather than just a product or a piece of plastic that you put in a box.